Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. We are talking Arkansas football tonight. We're also going to talk a little bit of SEC as well. As you can see, got two brand new guests in the room. Coach Blake Hogue and Coach Ashton Wilson joins us tonight. Two guys that are diehard Arkansas fans, diehard Arkansans, or whatever y'all call yourselves here. I think that's what you call yourselves. But two guys that know the Hogs, understand recruiting, understand what this program is all about, and that's why I got them on here tonight. So, Austin and Blake, welcome to the show, guys.
Hey man,
Thanks.
appreciate you having us on.
Not a problem. Quick question, guys, just before we get started. We're going to go over the depth charts here shortly, but when you look at this Arkansas program, just coming off of last season, of course, had an incredible game in Memphis in the Liberty Bowl, an absolute thriller, one of the best football games I think I've ever watched, to be honest with you. A lot of change. This 2023 season is a season of change for this Arkansas team. But talk a little bit about your guys' thoughts from last season. And Blake, I'll start with you.
It was a disappointing season. Coming into it, we were ranked, and due to injuries, and KJ went down, the season started going downhill, and there was some inside turmoil with the some coaches who are no longer there. So it was I know it ended up with the bowl win, but it was a very disappointing year for an Arkansas fan who had very high hopes. We had some high key transfers come in who didn't really pan out. So, but there's always next year.
Very true. Very true. Ashton, what about you, man?
And I tell you, throughout the year, we started the year and I had high hopes. I think as in most years, when the defining moment of our season here recently, the last few years, seems to be the moment we go play Texas A&M. When we go to Texas A&M and we play them, we always play them tough, and we don't find a way to get it done, and we lose the game. It seems like from there, one way or another, our season just goes south. Why that is, I don't know. Of course, Blake said it. We had injuries. I firmly believe there were plenty of questionable coaching decisions, primarily, in my opinion, on the offensive side. Um, uh, One in particular, why we did a quarterback sneak with a tight end, I'll never know. But there were several of those throughout the season, and once things started going south, it was hard to recover. KJ carried us as much as he could, and it's kind of hard, especially in the SEC, to ask one player to carry an entire team, and he did his best. But ultimately, we got the bowl win, some momentum that we carried into the offseason, and it really helped us actually, the recruiting wise. Brought in some good transfers, got some depth finally, and hopefully it'll translate to success this season.
I just got a question, Ashton.
Sure.
Since you want to talk about the A&M game, if KJ doesn't fumble at the one, how does that change our season? Because that
Uh,
was, we
so
were
the fumble at the really, I guess technically it was a fumble at the three.
at the three.
Uh, uh, when your leader, KJ, is truly the leader of this team. There's no doubt about it. As he goes, I believe the team goes. And when he made that, and I'm just going to call it a bonehead decision because it was, when he made that decision, um, as a fan, you can't help but sitting at home watching the game, losing a little bit of confidence in his decision making. And you're sitting at home, you're watching, and what do immediately? What do you say? Here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on the sideline watching all that, you can't help but the stigma behind Arkansas is we find ways to shoot ourselves in the foot. And if you're on the sideline, that's all that's probably going through your mind. Now they may deny that. Kids may not may say they don't think about that, but they do.
Yeah.
You find ways to lose, and then you find another way to lose. It's disheartening, is what it is.
It is. And you guys as coaches, former coaches, you understand this. I mean, winning cures a lot, and a part of that is the mental side of the game. And because once you start losing, negativity can be a cancer in a locker room.
Right.
But this is a new locker room, an updated locker room, new offensive coordinator, but it's a face that a lot of Arkansas fans are familiar with. Dan Enos returns to the Hill up here in beautiful Northwest Arkansas. But very excited about having Enos back here. Of course, all Arkansas fans know what he was able to do the last time he was here. And then he's got a quarterback that is creeping up on, I believe it's 7 or 8, 9 different records for Arkansas. And honestly, guys, I think it's attainable. Every single one of those records is attainable. And I think in a fitting way, you're going to see a lot of honoring, obviously, Ryan Mallett this year, but especially as KJ creeps up that list. Once he gets close to Ryan, I think you're going to see a little bit different side of KJ, the young man from Sardis, Mississippi. I think you're going to see a different side of him, and I think you're going to see that he understands not only the current product of Arkansas, but he also understands the history and just exactly where he is for this team. But what I'm looking forward to the most, guys, is the defensive side of the ball. You bring in Travis Williams, you bring in Coach Woodson as well. Sam Pittman made a comment earlier this week. He said that Williams, that they didn't even discuss a contract, that there was no discussion about a contract, that he said, yes, I'm in, and then they discussed money. Of course, he was coming from Central Florida where he was a positional coach there. But I think having 2 guys on defense is going to be really exciting to watch. You talked about it just a minute ago, Blake, the portal. Sam Pittman has been a beast in a portal. He is running up the portal, no pun intended, for an Arkansas fan. But you look, and there can be potentially a whole fresh 11 of no returning player from last year's team really on defense.
Right.
But let's take a look real quick at the depth charts. I'm going to bring them up here on screen. I know you guys have got them as well. Wes Pruitt here in the brand new Hogs Happy Hour show tonight with Blake Hogue and Ashton. I almost called you Ashton Martin earlier. It's kind of funny. But Ashton Wilson. Just a second. Like I said, my computer's getting a little slow. All right, we're going to start with the offense. So we'll bring it up here. But when you look at this, I mean, obviously KJ's the man. But two things that really stand out to me just off the top. Let me go ahead and move this banner too so everybody can see it. But 2 things that really stand out to me off the top is you've got a freshman at left tackle, correct? Yep. And then you've got come on, computer. And then you've got Tesla, who I think is going to be an absolute beast at the tight end position. At the tight end position. Wide receiver position. But, I mean, just initial thoughts, guys. What's your thoughts on this depth chart? And what's your thoughts on what this offense can produce this year?
Go ahead, Blake.
All right, just my quick thoughts is you look at receiver, you got Andrew Armstrong and Tesla. Okay, yeah. Armstrong comes in from Texas A&M Commerce, and Tesla comes from a Division II school. Okay, so they're coming in starting for an SEC school. So I'm curious to see how well it translates to this level. And then and at tight end, we're starting a true freshman, Luke Haas. So it's going to be interesting. KJ's leading it. He's got a 4-headed running back rotation to help him out. So, hopefully those receivers can pan out. Then it could be pretty good.
Yeah, the one thing that really stood out to me, and you can kind of see it there, is number one, Blake's already mentioned it, but at tight end, starting a freshman. But you go read about everything that Coach Pittman's had to say. He says the kid literally catches everything. And he's talking to the media, and he's saying to the media, you've been there, you've seen him. Everything you throw his way, he catches. That's not really the concern for me. The concern for me was on the 2 deep there. I was kind of surprised not to see Varkeus Gums there. He was so highly touted as an incoming transfer from North Texas. I for sure thought we would see him on the 2 deep. Now we may see him by the end of the year, but I'm very surprised to see Francis Sherman, who I mean he's probably pretty talented as a young man, but he wasn't highly sought after out of the transfer portal from Louisville. But he apparently has worked his way up. Probably worked hard all summer in the spring to get himself to this position to be on the 2 deep on day one, which is pretty impressive. And I noticed that Nathan Bax was number 3. So Varkeas Gums is actually the 4th option at tight end. That was very surprising to me. Coach Pittman also said that we've got 6 capable receivers, and that's with the 3 transfers, the 2 freshmen, and then also our sophomore Satanga in the slot. So I'm excited about the weapons that we have, but I'm hoping Varkeas Gums develops into the guy that we brought in from the portal and expect him to be.
And I will add that Enos loves. Well, when he was at Arkansas, he loved the tight end. Mm-hmm. So hopefully the tight end group can. I want to say it was about 30 to 40% of the offensive production when Enos was here was through the tight end.
Yeah, and then in addition to that, speaking of the tight end, you lose your tight end coach, but to South Carolina, Dow Loggins, but then you turn around, and Arkansas has been doing coast to coast a lot recently. But you go to Stanford and get a incredible tight end coach out of Stanford to come over here and coach the tight ends. When you look at Pittman and the job he's done, not only with the staff but with this defense or offense, I'm sorry. Let me ask a question real quick, and this may be a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, touchy subject, I guess, maybe. So everybody knows about Felix Jones, Sarah McFadden. I understand that. Is this the deepest running back room Arkansas has ever had? When you really sit back and think about it, you've got Rockets, you've got all these guys, Dominic Johnson, plus who you bring in. I mean, is this just deep now? I'm not talking about stars. I'm not talking any of that. Is this the deepest room that this football team's ever had?
I think so.
Yes.
I think this is the deepest room. I don't think it's the most talented room
right
that we've ever had. I do think it's the deepest. Now, if we're talking talent, yeah, you got to go to Peyton Hillis, D-Mac, and Felix. But as far as depth-wise, heck, we got a kid that by the end of the season in Isaiah out of Florida, I don't even know how to say his name correct, August Dave.
It's close,
He's talented. Now, Coach Pittman said he's not there yet, but he doesn't have to be there yet. That's the good thing. He doesn't have to be. You got 4 guys, and one guy, if he's right, I think he's one of the best running backs in the SEC. We just haven't seen him healthy, and that's Dominic Johnson.
Yeah, that kid, I mean, him and Rocket, just those 2 backs alone, not including anyone else you've got, those 2 running backs alone can be a dominating force in an SEC. And then you've got an offensive line that I think is averaging, it's over 300 pounds a pop. But you got an offensive line that's hungry. Sam Pittman obviously is an offensive line guy. One thing I will say about Pitt is once the offensive line is not doing what he wants, there are changes that are made. He gets it right, and he gets it right quick. One thing real quick before we move on to the defensive side, one player that I'm very excited to watch, and you just talked about him just a second ago, Isaiah Satania. Everything I've heard from practice, everything I've seen out of practice, the guys that I've talked to up here in Fayetteville are telling me the same thing. This kid's special. This kid is going to be legit a fun player to watch. And it's somebody that KJ has built a really strong relationship with. Real quick before we get to defense, what's y'all's thoughts on Satania?
I will add he's also the punt and kick returner too. So that means he's, with the ball in his hands, he's got to be electric. So just get the ball to him and let him make a move and go 80 yards,
Pittman did say earlier in the week that there was a live kickoff, live punt, live kick, whatever, and Satania took it 100 yards with no problems.
He was also a pretty good track star at Fayetteville High.
Yeah.
I tell you, there's a good reason why when Satanga flipped his commitment, was it to I don't know if it was Oregon to A&M at this point. I think it was to Oregon, but there's a reason why when he flipped that commitment back to Arkansas, people were excited. He's the real deal. And Fayetteville has put out some real deal players. I mean, definitely no slack to the fellow that's playing for the San Francisco 49ers, Dre Greenlaw. So Fayetteville can produce some players, and they'll probably produce more in the future. So I'm excited. Kid is talented, no doubt.
Yeah, he really is. All right, let's move over to the defense real quick. Let's get the depth chart up here on the screen. It's kind of hard to see. I apologize for that. But all right, guys. So just off the top of your head, or just off the top, and Wilson, we'll start with you on this one. What jumps out to you about this defensive line or this defensive depth chart?
So I think Blake will kind of agree with me. He'll probably echo the same thing. I'm a little nervous about the secondary. It seems like if you talk to any fan, every fan seems to be worried about any team's secondary. I think we're going to have one of the better defensive lines we've had in a long time, and although they're not proven necessarily yet, I think we're going to have better linebackers than what people realize. In reality, Wes, Arkansas is not getting the love they probably deserve because people just don't know these guys.
Yeah.
They're talking about the people that they know. Historically speaking, there's a lot of guys on our roster, Arkansas's roster, every year that people have never heard of. By the end of the season, they know who they are. So
that's a good point.
I think we're going to make more plays this year than we did last year, and I guarantee you, by the time if we take care of business against Texas A&M, people may start getting nervous.
It's a good point. Yeah. It's a very good point. And one thing, I mean, everybody's talked about Landon Jackson. Of course, he's dropped the weight. I think last year at the Liberty Bowl press for the Liberty Bowl depth chart, he was like 260. I think he's down a very considerable amount of weight. And he's also, I think, running like 20 miles an hour. And that's a large man running that much. I'm sorry, he's gained a lot of weight. But when you look at the rest of this defense, I mean, Wilson's 100% correct. It's kind of a hodgepodge of guys that you're like, who the heck is that kid? But by the end of the year, you're going to be, or really by the first game, when you see them flying around Saturday against Western Carolina, I think you'll be able to tell pretty quickly, there's a major discrepancy in talent. And no offense to Western Carolina there when I say that. But I think you'll be able to tell pretty quick that the defensive staff that's in place, and we spoke about at the beginning of the show, has got these guys ready to be in place to go make plays right now against Western Carolina. I don't think, last year against Cincinnati, of course you lose safety first few plays of the game. But I think that there was a tune-up period for this football team last year. I don't think that's the case this year. I think this year, this new staff is coming in just full guns blazing.
Yeah. And I will say our secondary cannot get any worse because I think we ranked 131st. 131 teams that play Division I football. So we can only get better.
Yeah. But don't I'm gonna tell you, and I think Sam Pittman's 100% serious to his guys when he tells them this. Don't take West Carolina for granted for who they are. We're talking about a team, and we may talk about it here shortly, but we're talking about a team who averaged 32 points a game last year. So they're gonna move the ball. I'm just hoping to see a little more pressure on the quarterback this year than last year.
Yeah, you're 100% right, correct. I mean, what a beautiful segue, man. It's like you've been doing this for years. Man, what an incredible segue there. Beautiful. Damn, that was good. So what is a catamount? I mean, does anybody really know? We know it's a cat. We know it's going.
Listen, Wes, you done got me searching up on Google what a catamount is. Apparently, it's a fancy way to say a cougar.
Yes.
All right. Mountain lion. I don't know why we can't just call it a cougar or a mountain lion. We got to call it a catamount.
Yes. That's There's no different. That's what it is. It's a cougar. It's a big cat.
So when you when you go to the bar, you're like, oh man, look at that catamount over there.
Yep.
Is that how it works?
You look at her. Hey, listen, we're from Arkansas. We got all kinds. We got Wampus cats.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Man, yeah.
got-
y'all got some
we
weird
got all
stuff
kinds
going
of
on
stuff
over here, bro.
We can't make fun of
Yeah.
too many people.
You're kidding.
They can call it catamounts. We got Wampus cats. So
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you're exactly right. When you look at the catamounts, cougars, panthers, cats that purr, whatever they are, you got to take them serious. I mean, we know it's Little Rock. We're going to talk about Little Rock in just a minute too. But he's already shaking his head. But when you look at this team, I mean, Arkansas, first meeting with them, it's going to be a good contest. As a matter of fact, there's 13 SEC teams playing this week. 6 out of the 13 matchups are first time meetings. I found that very cool. I like the fact that teams are playing teams for the first time. I enjoy it. I just think it's a cool aspect of college sports. But when you look at this Catamounts team, I don't expect to see KJ Jefferson, Rocket Sanders, and more in the game past, honestly, the beginning of the third quarter, to be honest with you. Matt Jones was on hitthatlineradio.com. Shout out Kristen Johnson from our crew over there, producer for the morning show. But Matt Jones was on the radio today, and he made the comment that back in the day, Houston Nutt, in a game like this situation, Houston Nutt would straight up tell him, look, we're going to run down the field, we're going to score, we're going to run down the field and score again, and after that, you boys are sitting down. And he said he fully expects it to be that same way. What are your guys' predictions and expectations for this Arkansas, Western Carolina battle at noon? Because you know it's cooler in Little Rock at noon than it is 3 p.m. But I digress.
I'll go.
Actually, sorry, not to cut you off. Actually, there is I went and looked. There's a 6-degree difference between 3 p.m. and noon in Little Rock. Go ahead.
But I expect the same. The starters may have one drive in the third quarter, but after that, it's pull them. You know, we want to get out this game injury free and with a win. That's it. You know, we don't want no injuries and get out there with the win.
Yeah, I know that I'd like to see us go take care of business, whether we like it or not. From here, starting Saturday, the committee looks at how you win games, and even though you may win, but you only beat a team like Western Carolina by 2 or 3 touchdowns, people aren't impressed. Yeah. I fully expect us to go out there and put it on them right out of the gate. The size advantage, I hope we can take advantage of that and exert our dominance. We should be able to. Try not to take anything away from Western Carolina, but overall talent, top to bottom, we should take care of business.
Yeah, I will add that their starting running back is 5'8", 170 pounds.
Yeah, so as a matter of fact, the head coach of the Catamounts was speaking this week, and he made the comment that he recruits D1 players. Mm-hmm. He recruits the same players Arkansas does. He has a roster of misfits that they just weren't selected to go to universities like Arkansas and other places. So I mean, he's playing up the us against the world thing, which anybody would. I mean, they're also getting a nice little paycheck too. Nobody's really talking about that. But I mean, I expect Arkansas to roll. They're a 34.5-point favorite. I'm not a big gambling guy, but I think I might throw. I got 5 on it. I might throw 5 on. Because I think Arkansas rolls. I think Arkansas wins this game by 40 points, and I think they can do it with their eyes closed. Honestly, I think Arkansas rolls big time. I'm going to say Arkansas 45, Western Carolina 3.
All right, Blake, what you got?
I got 48-13.
48-13. Mm-hmm. I believe I said it was going to be somewhere in the realm of 52-10.
Yep.
Ooh. Points. I like it. I like the points.
We'll say, Coach Coach Bell, he said they have 120 new athletes from 2 years ago coming into the program. So he said, other schools hit the transfer portal. They also do as well, but they also lose a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. If you're not hitting the portal today, you're not winning in college football, or at least you're not. Let me say it. I won't say you're not winning. Deion Sanders pulled 50 kids into the portal this year, and we'll see how he does coming up against TCU.
And I will say, their biggest game of the season is next week against Sanford, who's predicted to win the SoCon. So beating Arkansas.
So I looked at Western Carolina's, obviously their schedule from last year. They were 6-5, 4-4 in conference, but they had a few close games against. They're not big Division I schools, but Sanford is a better team in their conference, and I believe Mercer's another one of the better ones. And if I'm not mistaken, Sanford and Mercer are in the FCS top 25, and I think they're both on their schedule. So I don't want to take too much away from Western Carolina. Their schedule is what it is. Props to them for having Arkansas on the schedule.
Oh yeah.
But their conference itself, as far as FCS football goes, they're going to play some tough teams. And who knows? Don't take anything away from them. I hope our guys don't approach this game as it's going to be a breeze through. Right. I want to see it. I want to see us just go dominate.
No doubt. Yeah. Also, we got some comments. We are live right now, by the way. Thank you, everybody watching and listening right now. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter. So, jump on that X, shoot me an X. That's so weird. It's so weird. So weird, man. But we're live all there right now. We got a couple of comments. We got a comment from our YouTube page. Chris Wilson said, "Woo pig." And also on the book, we got one on the book. It's from Jason Hogs.
I don't know him.
I don't know that guy.
Interesting. He's it's crazy. Both y'all said that simultaneously. He said that would love to see Criswell play this weekend. I think you will. I think you'll see Criswell play this weekend, and I also think that sporadically, sprinkled throughout the season, you're going to see Criswell. I think you're going to see him sprinkled throughout the season because that is a whole nother level of talent and a whole nother, not that he's not as talented as KJ, but a whole nother level. It's a whole nother different skill set. Criswell, just folks didn't like Malik Hornsby. The upgrade at the quarterback room is nowhere near compared to what it was last season.
I will say about Criswell, me and Ashton talked about this. He would start on probably 6 or 7 SEC teams on Saturday.
No question.
No doubt.
No question.
But, his brother, I don't know if y'all know this, his brother's Dre Greenlaw that we talked about earlier.
Okay, so, I did not know that.
Yeah, I learned it in an interview this week. I watched.
The more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. So, but next year it's probably his time. But I do want to see him a couple series just to see what he's about. But
yeah, you've got him, and then right after him, you've got a young man named Malachi Singleton. That's gonna be a very fun young man to watch. All right, so 2023. I know this is early. It's pre-week 1. There's a lot of things that can happen, but let's just play devil's advocate here, and just as of today, August the 30th, as of today. What is your season prediction? And Blake, we'll start with you.
All right, I'm going to go through each game, kind of give you some thoughts. Obviously, a win this week. Okay, next week, Kent State, win. BYU, win. Now, here's the thing about BYU. We play them on September 16th. Our next home game is October 21st. And we only play 2 home games between September 16th and November 11th. Name another team in the country that does not only plays 2 home games in 2 months.
As Cat Williams would say, don't worry, I'll wait.
Yes. Alabama's not doing it. Texas A&M's not doing it. Ohio State's not doing it. But that's the schedule we got. So we start off with 3 wins. Then we go to LSU. We take a loss. Now the game of the year, as always, is Texas A&M at Jerry's World, and we finally beat them. Even though Bobby Petrino's there, we finally beat them. Then we go to Ole Miss. We take a loss. Then we go to Alabama. That's another loss. And then we got Mississippi State. That's a win. Then we have a bye week. Then we go to Florida, win, Auburn win, FIU win, Mizzou win to finish 9-3.
Oh,
Yeah, 9-3.
Nice. Very nice. Go ahead, Wilson.
all right. So I got obviously I'm going to give us a win this weekend. We'll get Kent State. They'll come in from the MAC, I believe, is what they're a part of. We'll beat them. BYU will be I think it'll be a closer game than most people think. Are they as talented as us? I don't think they are, but it'll be closer than people think. I think we'll win that. It's a night game in Fayetteville. First night game of the season, true night game. People are going to be rowdy. They're going to be pumped. They're going to be excited. So we'll start the season off 3-0, and then it starts getting a little ugly, a little tough. We'll go to LSU, and I think LSU will. They got a really good team this year. I don't know very many people who would go into LSU and win this year. So I got, if anybody, I got LSU beating us down there. Perhaps not by as much as the experts may think, but I still think they beat us. And then Hogs said it perfectly. Game of the year. I think it is the game for us as Arkansas Razorbacks. This is the defining moment of our year because I don't think we're going to allow Ole Miss and Alabama to define our year. I think A&M will define who we are. If we go to A&M and beat them, or go to Jerry's World and beat A&M, I think we lose the next 2. I think we'll beat Mississippi State. Here's where I'm going to disagree with Blake. I know Florida is down, but going to the swamp anytime. I got Florida beating us at Florida, and then I got us winning out to finish the season at 8-4. And I have us, as other experts have, playing in the Liberty Bowl against none other than Gus Malzahn and UCF.
Okay.
All right. Full disclosure, as a Memphis fan, I don't want that to happen. But I mean, look, we're getting ready. We being Memphis, I'm sorry, we're getting ready to play Arkansas in a couple of years, so it's a house divided for me. I'll probably be watching it upstairs. She'll probably be watching it downstairs, whatever. No, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But this season, yeah, you guys hit the nail right on the head. 8-4, 9-3. I think 10 wins is the high ceiling for this team, and I think 10 wins is very attainable. When you look at those games, Arkansas does one of 2 things seemingly every year. They find a way to beat somebody they're not supposed to, and then somehow they find a way to crap the bed against a team like Missouri, for example. But I agree. I've got Arkansas going 8-4 as well. Like I said, I think low ceiling for this team 7 wins, and I think high is 10. I mean, when you look at the new staff, of course, there's a lot of questions. Everyone's asking a lot of questions about the wide receivers, but I'll be honest with you guys. We just talked about it. What did you say? There were 6 guys that are all impactful. Every single one of those guys can step on the field and make a play right now. And they've been doing it in fall camp and spring camp as well. Let's jump over to the recruiting side of things just for a minute. I know Wilson loves the recruiting.
Are we wanting blood type and their mother and father's names as well?
This is all you.
No. Basic recruiting.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So when you look at Pittman, and you look at the class coming in, there's a guy by the name of Ty Richardson, a really good friend of the show. And Ty made the following statement: when you look at the class as a whole, it has the potential, keyword being potential always, to be the best class in the history of Arkansas since they started tracking recruiting. That's a very bold statement, but coming from a guy like Ty, he's not one of those who just makes a off the wall type of statement. So Wilson, I ask you this, man: this recruiting class is really good. Is it that good?
You know what? Will it be the best? I personally think the way things are going right now, if things work out the way they should, I'm starting to lean towards the 2026 class being the best class that possibly has ever come through. I only say that based upon some names that have not committed to the Razorbacks, but some names that I think will. Of course, getting Tay Lockett out of California, who's got family ties in Arkansas, that really helps. And I mean, we're talking about a kid who had 39 offers. Okay, this kid's probably going to end up, when they give him his rankings, he'll probably be a 5-star. There's another kid that's not too far from you. Are you in Fayetteville, Wes?
Yeah.
So down in Greenwood, there's a kid that's being highly recruited right now by the name of Kane Archer.
Oh, I'm very, very, very well of who Kane is. Yeah.
So I believe he could possibly end up being a 4 or 5-star.
And he's 2026 class, correct?
Yeah, 2026, I believe, right? I think he's 2026.
Wow, it's going to time up so damn perfect for Arkansas. Holy cow.
And then, there's a few other names that I believe are going to be tied in with that class. It's just time will tell. But there's a kid who I think in the 2027 class is going to end up being a 4 or 5-star, and he's going to come out with another kid from Warren. Warren is loaded.
Oh gosh.
Warren is the hidden
every
gem
year. Yeah.
And Bo Hembry, he's got it going on down there. Every year he's got somebody who could just flat out go. And so the freshman quarterback down there, you're talking about a kid, he had 5 touchdowns as a freshman. First time to start a high school football game, goes out and just mollywops a respected opponent.
That's an Arkansas term right there.
Yeah. And then he's got a receiver that's going to be just as daggum good, who if they stay healthy, they'll be really good. But that 2026 class, I'm going to tell you, it's off to a hot start. Yeah. But this class, don't get me wrong, this class is very good. And I think on top of that, you get some transfers in. Yeah. Just the world we live in today, football wise, what you have to do to be successful in today's world, you got to have a decent class. And me and Blake have talked about this. Let's say you recruit 25 kids. What you're expecting, you're not expecting 25 kids to pan out. It's just not going to happen. If you can get 5 to 10 kids that are freshmen to pan out, you supplement that with transfers, kids or guys who have already proven themselves at the Division I level or Division II level as we got to transfer in. But you just wait till 2026, Wes. Arkansas fans are going to be pleased, I think.
You're also forgetting the recent commit out of Georgia.
Yeah, Barry McWhorter. He was a highly sought after offensive lineman. Yeah. And he said, I saw his comment. He said, if Sam Pittman will just offer me, I'll be a Razorback.
I don't know if y'all remember years ago, he had a billboard in Fayetteville. Yeah. Said, so he's all hog. I don't expect him to not come to Arkansas.
Well, that's the thing with the last 2 guys that you've seen is the young man out of California who's an incredible talent, and then the kid out of Georgia. Both, but when you look at these guys, these are guys that you talked about it in today's day and age. Nothing is final until that name is inked on the LOI, and even then, it's not really final. To be honest about it, but. These are 2 guys that you are 100% correct. They will be Hogs. Now, I've seen a few things online about a possible flip. Has there been any flip action so far?
I have not heard anything as far as flips go. We got that. I mean, obviously, we had a flip go in our favor. But as far as any of our kids flipping.
No. I was saying somebody flipping over to Arkansas.
I heard Stanford.
The lineman out of Stanford, but that's the only one I know of.
And when you look at Yeah, and when you look at that kid, I mean, I watched a little bit of film on him recently. I mean, you guys are football coaches. You guys understand how it works. Great, strong hands. Look like he can really. I mean, great drive, power in his legs, quick feet, strong core. I mean, as you guys know, any offensive lineman has to have a really good base, really good balance. I think he's got all that. But one thing that I really enjoyed watching him is, man, when he latches on to you, it's OV. It's done. You're getting drove into the stands. And if you're a Sam Pittman, rut the field up kind of guy, that's the kind of cat you're looking for right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, man. Sam knows his big men. He knows what he's looking for. Um, Going back to his earlier days at Arkansas, it's kind of funny how things have worked out. You know, uh, Dan was the boss, if you will, of Pittman. Now Pittman's the boss of Enos.
Yeah,
But
I
I
didn't
think
even think about
what you'll
that.
find is these two guys work well together. I think Enos at heart has a lot of Razorback in him. Pittman is all Hog. When I think of a Hog Razorback coach, the two names that always come to my mind in my lifetime, I always think Houston Nutt. Listening to Houston Nutt always got me fired up, and then I listen to Sam Pittman. Sam Pittman loves Arkansas. He's all about Fayetteville, and he ain't going nowhere. Uh, he said when he got the job, this is where he'll retire or until they run him out of town. Uh, but I'm telling you, this guy has brought in some excellent coaches that I think have turned recruiting around, especially on the defensive side, have just really flipped things around. We got 4 kids, Wes, 4 kids committed to us that are ranked in the top 100 recruits in the nation.
Yeah.
Arkansas hasn't done that in a long time. Now, like I said, 2026 down the road, but right now, when has Arkansas done that?
It's
In a
been
long
it's been
time.
quite a long time.
Yes.
Quite a long time. Speaking of Arkansas and quite a long time. Um, when is I mean, I distinctly remember a game in Little Rock where a one Mr. Darren McFadden just put LSU in his freaking taillights. I mean, just left them in his dust. Um, why Little Rock? I understand War. I mean, I get War Memorial. I understand all that, but do you really see this stadium being sold out for a Western Carolina noon kickoff when it's hotter than fish grease outside?
No.
Go ahead, Blake.
I will say, back in the Houston Nut days, Little Rock was the place to be. Okay, the reason was we played LSU on Black Friday. All the wives are out shopping. All the husbands are at the football game. And it was the place to be. And there's always something special was going to happen. Okay, Miracle on Markham 1 and 2. Okay. Why Little Rock? I don't know. Because on Saturday, Sam Pittman cannot bring any recruit to the game.
Right.
So there's no point, it doesn't help him. And then, they got to bus back to Fayetteville and get ready for Kent State next week. I mean, and there's only 50,000 seats compared to 77,000 or how many there is in Fayetteville now. I mean,
It's a lot, man.
It doesn't make
sense. The stadium's massive.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, for me, I've heard people have explained it to me this way. They want to give people who wouldn't normally have the financial means to make the trip to Fayetteville the opportunity to watch their Razorbacks play. Well, the people who have said that all these years are the same people who had to listen to it on the radio all these years when now you have the opportunity to watch it on TV. The other thing is when we talk about Arkansas playing in Little Rock, your mind goes one of two ways. You either think about Miracle on Markham, or you think like I do. I watched Arkansas get beat by UL Monroe at the last seconds of the game.
Smile.
And since then things have I've never had a good taste in my mouth about playing in Little Rock. Keep us in Fayetteville. This is coming from a Central Arkansas guy. Keep us up there.
Yes, this is coming from a Southeast Arkansas guy who, it's a little bit shorter trip. I want to go to Little Rock, but it's not worth it. in my opinion.
If you're giving me the option to watch Arkansas versus West Carolina and Little Rock versus watching Arkansas versus West Carolina and Fayetteville, keep the game in Fayetteville.
The only way to me that would make fans happy is that they play a non-conference game against Arkansas State in Little Rock.
That's it.
Which brings me to man, y'all are good, man. It's like y'all know what I'm about to say. That brings me to my next point. Arkansas plays Arkansas State, I believe, in 2025. In my opinion, there's just so much uproar, and now it's digital tickets, and don't even get me started. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. Because there's just a gap there that there's going to be a lot of old people that are really pissed off. But why not end this with a state game? Let Arkansas be the road team against Arkansas State. Let Arkansas State have their day. Give them a lot of people aren't going to agree with this. Let Arkansas State be the home team. Let them have their day. You're not going to lose to brick by brick Bush. Don't freak out. Just let them have their day. Let them be the home team. Give them all the pomp and circumstance, and then be done. That, to me, that's the perfect way to end it. It's a state game. It's the first time you ever played Arkansas State. You shut up the people in Jonesboro. You shut up a lot of people around the rest of the state because everybody said, "Oh, we never going to play them." Now you do it. Do y'all agree? That's just my opinion.
So I'm going to tell you, and then I'll let Blake go. So here's why I think we don't play Arkansas. We don't have a state game, if you will. Now, I wish we had a state game, but here's why I think we don't. I believe people in Fayetteville, specifically speaking, know that if we go and play Arkansas State and whether we win or we lose, Arkansas Razorbacks have nothing to gain from it. Now, Arkansas State, win or lose, they lose nothing. They win, they gain everything. Now what it is, you can go to a kid in state and say, "Hey, look, we beat the Razorbacks. Why don't you come play for us?" Now that may be a petty reason, which I wish we would play them. And I don't care what the result is. I think you should play them, especially those kids. There's a lot of kids in state playing for Arkansas State. Hey, buddy, I'm going to tell you, if they do well, recruit them. They do well, recruit them. Get them up to Fayetteville. Transfer portal. That's kind of what Musk did with Kamani Johnson.
That's exactly what he did.
So, why not? It's a tool. But if you, again, as Arkansas, if you play Western Carolina and you lose, now, do you lose everything? No. Now, you lose a lot. But you don't have to worry about a kid from Arkansas wanting to go to Western Carolina to play football versus a kid going 2 hours east and playing for Jonesboro. So that's just my 2 cents. Go ahead, Blake. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yes, why not play them? Just bring them down, play Little Rock, make a lot of people happy. Here's the thing. Western Carolina's coming in. They're playing Arkansas in front of 20,000 less people than they could have in Fayetteville. They're getting the same amount of check, the same $500,000 check, whatever it's going to be. And, and it's honestly, it's easier to beat the Hogs at Little Rock than it is in Fayetteville. But
true. Very true. Let's jump over real quick. A little bit of background music too, but let's jump over real quick and let's talk a little bit about SEC football. Let's jump over. We just talked about it earlier. There's 13 matchups. 13 teams will be playing this week in the SEC. Out of those 13 teams, 6 of those matchups will be first-time matchups. And guys, we are under 24 hours away as of tomorrow night at this time. I believe the Urban Meyer Bowl will be over with. That's Florida and Utah. And then I think Missouri plays Ray Charles University tomorrow night at 6 over on the SEC network. But let's just jump over and talk a little SEC. So, Blake, I'll start with you, man. When you look at the SEC, give me a team to look out for going into 2023?
It's going to surprise people because of who they lost, but Kentucky. You think losing Levis is, they would be down the drain again, but the East is kind of you got your top two teams, and then after that, it is anybody's for the taking. So Kentucky to me will be the surprise team.
Yeah, I mean they bring in. I always want to call him Dennis Leary, and that's not the guy's name. Devin Leary from NC State. I mean, Alyssa Lang made the same comment too. I think Kentucky is a team to look out for. They also bring back their offensive coordinator from a few years back that was very, very effective for that team. So great call right there on Kentucky. A team that I thoroughly enjoy is my guy Beamer out there at South Carolina. Man, I really hope I didn't just steal yours.
No.
But man, I'm a huge Beamer fan. I love the guy. Love how he does all the office stuff where they're running by the speed zone, the sign, and everything, man. But his thing where he did the Soldier Boy, put my swag on, John, that was nasty, man. I love it. But Shane Beamer, the man got freaking mayo dumped on him, and he's still dumping it out of his ears, and he don't care. South Carolina, look out for him. Darrell Loggins is out there now. An incredible get by Shane Beamer, but also another guy to look out for on that staff, Pete Limbo, former Memphis special teams coordinator. But I'm telling you right now, mark it down, put money on it, whatever. You can send me the money when you win. South Carolina's going to block a punt in the first two games of the season. I promise you. Something about Beamer ball and special teams. His daddy did it at Virginia Tech for what seemed like ages, and he's going to do the same thing at South Carolina. So my surprise, even though it's not really a huge surprise, it's South Carolina. Give me the Cox as my surprise.
Yeah, I would just say, just to add to that, I mean, they're going to be good, but they have got to survive the beginning of the schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they play North Carolina this week, and then Furman, and then you got Georgia, Mississippi State, Tennessee.
It's brutal.
You've got it. It's brutal, but if they can survive that, watch out.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you a team from the East. You've already said it, and I'm gonna give you a team from the West, and I'm gonna give you an overall team for the season.
Okay.
So from the East, you've already said it. I think Shane Beamer. I think South Carolina. People are overlooking him.
Yeah.
I think just he's the grit of that team. I'll say this: I'm glad that we played South Carolina earlier in the year before we played them later in the year because they were hot later in the year. In the West, this is going to all depend upon one game. Texas A&M. If Texas A&M loses to Arkansas, their season's done. If Texas A&M beats Arkansas, I think Texas A&M is going to be a team that you better watch out for. That's in the West. And then overall, this team, I hate to say this. Oh, man, it hurts me to say this, but there is a team that I foresee being in the playoffs because they just got a dude as a transfer at quarterback, and that's Sam Hartman in Notre Dame. Notre Dame is going to be in the playoffs. I think you can book it, write it down. They might have one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the country. What a transfer get for Notre Dame.
I'll say just because they can lose 4 games and still be in the playoff hunt because, everybody loves them.
It hurts me to say, man. It hurts me. I am not a Notre Dame fan. I'm not a Texas A&M fan, but I'm going to tell you, Texas A&M season, it's almost like the same for Arkansas and A&M.
Yeah.
The whole season hinges upon that game.
And everybody's talking about Georgia. Can they three-peat? I honestly believe they can. I think Kirby Smart is just on a mission right now in Athens. They won 2 national championships with Stetson Flip Phone Bennett. So I honestly believe he can throw whoever out there and he's going to be okay. But a team to look out for, not a popular opinion in the city of Fayetteville, Arkansas, but it's Brian Kelly and LSU. I'm going to call no bones about it, man.
Yeah.
They got a heck of a football game against a really talented Florida State team. That's another team with a lot of hype this year. But when you look at the SEC as a whole, I mean, I think Bama's going to be not as good as people are expecting them to be. I predict Bama to lose 3 games this season. That's a hot take. Whatever.
That's fair.
Yeah, I do. I honestly do. I think they lose to Texas. I think they lose to LSU. And I honestly think Arkansas has got a shot to knock them out. But I think they lose 3. There's a reason they brought Hugh Freeze to the Plains, too, in Auburn, boys. There's a reason Hugh Freeze is there, and that's a team that I would keep an eye on. I mean, they did just bring in Max Thorne, quarterback, or Peyton Thorne, sorry, quarterback. I think the kid just got his first hall pass, and he's already their starting quarterback. He just got to campus. Like, he just literally, like, turned his laptop on, and Hugh Freeze is like, you know the offense. You're my starting quarterback. So they're going to be a team to look out for, too. But when you look at the SEC as a whole, guys, the moniker for the SEC is it just means more. And when you look at the future of college football and playoff expansion, it is going to mean more because I think there'll be more teams from the SEC in these playoffs. And I mean, college football right now is just it's going nuts. Before we get out of here, once again, man, Wes Pruitt, 4-Star Sports Media. This is the Hogs Happy Hour, first little rendition of this show. But we've got Ashton Wilson and Blake Hogue in the house with me tonight. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. Before we get out of here, guys, give me your final thoughts on the college football season as we're getting ready to get it cranked up tomorrow night.
Go ahead, Blake.
All right. Well, I'm just going to piggyback on what you said about Auburn. I have them actually finishing last in the West. Because, you know,
there's a hatred there. I get it.
Quarterback, he does not impress me at all. It's a battle between Mississippi State and Auburn for last place in the West. But anyways, thoughts. Steve Sarkisian is on the hot seat if he does not live up to expectations. Because they're coming.
But he's got a Manning in the house. Is he on the hot seat with a Manning in the house?
Also got 3 other quarterbacks that could play too. So I mean, he is coming into the SEC. He better win 10 games. If he wins 9, 8, it's not going to be. His seat's going to be on fire when they come into the SEC. And also, how are they ranked? Are they ranked 11th? And they're ranked 25th at the last AP poll that came out. So they moved up 14 spots. I think that math's correct. Yeah. No. Yeah, 14 spots. It's just a Texas privilege is what we call it. Also, Oklahoma's ranked too.
Really?
Yes.
Number 20.
I think. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Playing Arkansas State.
That guy's on the hot seat too, man.
Brent.
I mean, Venables. I mean, I hate to say it, he just got there, and I know he's a hero from days gone by, but you got to win, man. And if you ain't winning in Oklahoma, they're not going to let you. You're getting ready to come to the SEC. I mean, Lincoln Riley, man, he pulled a pimp move and left them in a blink of an eye. I mean, it was crazy. But Wilson, what about you, man? What's your thoughts? What's your excitement level for the
man? I'm gonna tell you right now. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna be an old man. I'm gonna make me a cup of coffee. I'm gonna sit in my recliner. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna watch Billy Napier begin his hot seat transition down in Florida. The only thing that may save Billy Napier's season is if Arkansas rolls into Florida and Arkansas gets beat. Billy Napier, by the end of the year, I think is on the hot seat. And I see we have a comment that says Sark has this year and next year before he is on the hot seat. And he may be right. Sark may have another year and a half or so. And I like this comment too. If Bobby Petrino is successful this year at A&M, Bobby Petrino is a head coach somewhere next year.
Yeah.
Now, where? It looks like Jason says OU possibly. I don't think it's going to be OU. I think there's too many people who would have to admit they were wrong about Brent Venables too soon. And I think there's a lot of pride in Oklahoma. So I don't see that happening just yet. If they're unsuccessful this year, maybe the next year, OU is looking for a new coach. And Brent Venables will go back to being a DC somewhere. And
incredible DC.
But man, I'm so pumped. I think every sports fan who knows anything about anything, this is the most exciting time of the year. You got college football ramping up. You've got the end of the Major League Baseball season, playoffs in October. Man, does it get any better? You got NFL football starting. So much to look forward to. But man, I'm gonna be just like Blake. I'm gonna be keeping up with recruiting. He's gonna text me constantly about who we're looking at. I'm gonna text him constantly about who we're looking at, and we're gonna watch high school football.
Heck yeah.
We're gonna keep up with some of our former players down in Crossett. Who shout out to them for getting a big win over Glen Rose the other night, double overtime.
Heck of a play by Max Brooks to win that game too.
A lot of excitement around football in this state, and I think we have every right to be excited about football. Again, finally, excited about Arkansas Razorback football and football in the state of Arkansas.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. And I kudos to CrossFit. Great win to get over. Great win over Glen Rose in double overtime. Max Brooks, a young man that I know you guys are familiar with. I feel like I literally watched the man grow up. I don't even know what you guys feel, but man, I'll tell you one thing: you go to a football game, you're gonna know where that daddy's at. I can promise that. You can red sucker across the field. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent up here too. Elkins football is a very talented 6A football team up here. Dizzy Dean, Sean Chairs. I'm telling you right now, you guys want to see a running back that has got quick feet, strong power, and will straight up leave your butt. Go watch Sean Chairs run the football. That kid's talented at Elkins. But yeah, man, no, it's been a great show, man. I really have had a great time with you guys on. Hey, and you guys are going to see a lot more of these guys coming up. These guys are going to be joining the brand here and talking a lot of college football, talking recruiting, maybe talking a little bit of little bet Saracen stuff as well. But yeah, for Wes Pruitt, Blake Hogue, I'm gonna get these names right. I know who I am. Wes Pruitt, Blake Hogue, Ashton Wilson, not Ashton Martin, Ashton Wilson. But yeah, for all you guys, man, thank you very much for watching and listening tonight. Very first little rendition of a Hogs Happy Hour here on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Thanks, you guys. Hey, we are 24 hours away from college football starting, and we are just 3 days away from Arkansas Razorbacks kicking off the season against the Western Carolina Catamounts. For all of us here at 4-Star Sports Media, y'all be good, be safe, and be classy.